on the north side of the Tippecanoe River in northwest Indiana. Both of his parents were Potawatomi. He was given the name Nanishquaw, meaning he who prays with plants. His family lived in various locations in Indiana and Michigan, with local Potawatomi tribes. His father was killed in Michigan when Abram was very young. He and his mother relocated to Fort Wayne, Indiana, to live with her father. He attended a mission school and quickly became proficient in English, and actually served as an interpreter at age 8. At around 10, his mother passed away, and he was adopted by Abram Burnett, his mother's cousin. Abram was not married and had no children of his own. Nanishquaw then took the name Abram Burnett. He was sent off to the Choctaw Academy in Kentucky for more education. His adopted father died in 1827 when Abram was 15. He returned to Fort Wayne and received no further formal education. His maternal grandfather, Chief Boss, was one of the hereditary principal chiefs of the Potawatomi Nations. He also died in 1827. Abram was given his father's title as hereditary chief at the age of 15. In this role, he was among those in 1836 who signed a treaty with the U.S. government calling for the removal of the tribe from Indiana to Kansas Territory as a result of President Jackson's Indian Removal Act. In 1836, Burnett married a Potawatomi woman named Demosh-Kiki-Kwe, meaning darling woman or good woman. They had no children. It is said that she was an extremely attractive woman. In September of 1838, they were among the 850 Potawatomi living in northern Indiana who were gathered at gunpoint and told they were being removed to the Western Territory or Kansas. This was later called the Potawatomi Trail of Death. The distance to be traveled was 660 miles under armed guard, and most of the Potawatomi on foot. Because of his background, he served as an interpreter on the Trail of Death. He also became a close friend of the Jesuit priest Benjamin Pettit, who had joined the Potawatomi on the trail. Something like having your pages out, Lord. Pettit fell seriously ill upon arriving at the tribe's final destination. Burnett took it upon himself to escort Pettit to the nearest Jesuit missionary, which was located in St. Louis, to receive care. Pettit eventually died in February 1839. The Trail of Death ended on November 4th, 1838, when 753 Potawatomi arrived at an Osage Indian reservation near present-day Osawatomie. I think I will take that. Excuse me. I'm due for knee surgery in a couple of weeks, so bear with me. If you haven't already figured out or already knew, Osawatomie is a combination of Osage and Potawatomi. So if you don't leave here with anything else today, a couple of months later, they were moved further south to a reservation called Sugar Creek, in present-day Lynn County. Over 600 Potawatomi died there over the next 8 years. Burnett's wife, Demosh-Kiki-Kwe, died at Sugar Creek in 1842. Burnett had met a young German woman named Mary Knopfloch on one of his journeys to Washington, D.C. Soon after the death of his earlier wife, they would be married in 1843. They had several children: Joseph, Mary J., Mary A., Catherine, Carla, and the last born, Abraham Lincoln Burnett. The Treaty of 1846 relocated the Potawatomi again, this time from Sugar Creek to the Potawatomi Reservation on the Kansas River near present-day Topeka. To give you an idea of the boundaries, Gage Boulevard was the eastern boundary, 45th Street was the southern boundary, 206 Road to the north was the northern boundary, and the western boundary is about 2 miles east of Wamego. Abram signed this treaty along with other treaties, leaders of the tribe. Burnett settled in the southeast corner of the reservation on land that included this mound. When the Treaty of 1861 allotted the reservation to the Potawatomi members, Abram and his children received a total of nearly 900 acres. Burnett was again among those who signed this treaty. Chiefs were allocated a full section, and children got either 40 or 80 acres, depending on their age. That's how he accumulated 900 acres. Burnett was a very successful horse and oxen trader, as well as a profitable farmer, as he traded regularly with the travelers on the southern branch of the Oregon Trail, which passed just north of the mound. Burnett was a very large man. He was over 6 foot tall, and at the time of his death, weighed in excess of 450 pounds. He died in 1870 at the age of 58. He is buried a little over a mile west of here. A few years following his death, his wife and children relocated to the new Potawatomi Reservation in Indian Territory, now Oklahoma. An interesting note, that in the mid-1850s, John C. Fremont, the noted explorer and surveyor, on one of his expeditions across Kansas, camped for several days on Burnett's property just south of the mound, and frequently rode his horse to the top. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. One, just curiosity. I've been to the Blind Tiger once or twice, and they have a picture of Abram Burnett up there, and I just wondered if there was some tie-in with alcohol, or if he just happened to be a local. I've heard rumors.
So have we. But we understand that he was quite a drinker in Topeka, to the point where if he didn't come home, his wife got the horse and cart and went and got him and brought him home in the cart. Yes.
What's the truth or validity of the rumor or whatever that Burnett guarded Topeka and that the Topeka tornado was because of something we had done?
The water tower. The water tank. It took off part of the top of the mound. As I was gone, I was in the service. But it's one thing to be stationed in northern Ontario and hearing that your hometown's hit with a tornado. But there was an Indian lore that the valley would never be hit with a tornado because Burnett's mound, or the mound, would deflect it, and it didn't. Yes, sir.
This is great, Mark.
Yes. there is a tombstone there. You actually have to cross private property to get to it, but there's no problem with that. But it's not easy to get to. It's on the south bank of a tributary to the Shangananga, or actually above the. There, Chief's got a picture of the tombstone.
Yeah, wants to see a picture. I have it.
We understand that there were other graves in that general area. Matter of fact, I'm leaving here. I'm going out to Rossville. We have a community center and duplex complex the tribe does in Rossville on the east side. Meet with a doctor from KU who has completed a ground-penetrating radar survey of the ghost town of Uniontown, which is up by Willard. And I'm going to try and get her to do more, and one of those would be the area around Burnett's grave. Yes.
So where are his kids? Do they stay in the they went to Oklahoma?
There are a very few who have come back to Kansas. I have like 20 enrolled members in Kansas. We are one of the largest enrolled tribes in Kansas. We have more enrolled in Kansas than the Prairie Men do. Yeah. But a few have come back, but most of them have stayed in the Oklahoma area. Of course, you know, they're spread out all over the country now, but they primarily stayed in Oklahoma. They were still quite young when they left, probably teenagers. Yes, sir.
Has somebody ever written a book about the history of the Potawatomi band that we might be able to search and find and buy?
There's one called Potawatomi of the West. It's hard to find. It's written by a Catholic priest, Father Murphy. And when we finish, I'll give you my card. I have a copy if you'd like to read it. I'd be more than happy to loan it to you.
I'll try to find another one. Don't trust me.
Potawatomi of the West. There was another book called The Last Black Robe of Indiana, and a book about Father Bennett, who accompanied the Potawatomi on the trail of death. Very descriptive about the trail. The Last Black Robe of Indiana. Any other questions? Well, I appreciate the opportunity and appreciate the work that Kimberly and Tom gave me on having the opportunity to put up the exhibit down by the gate. We are quite proud of that, and thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Would you like to talk about any of the current projects going on up here at Skyline Park, Burnett Mound? Or some of your efforts to preserve it?
Yeah. Thank you all. It's really great to see you all up here. I'm Tom Hammer. I'm with Shawnee County Parks. Just want to say thank you to Azura for all your help up here in the last few years. John, been great working with you. If you all have time today or sometime down where we came in at the gate, there's a couple of signs down there that John mentioned that they put together. We installed this spring. They're really informative, neat signs. So you really ought to. It's kind of a longer version of what John kind of went over.
I might mention that a picture or an artist's drawing of the most beautiful woman is down there.
There you go. Yeah, as far as projects we have going up here, in the last few years, 5 or 6 years, we've worked with Kansas Trails Council to develop a trail system here. There's 4 trail loops. One of them, the longest one, comes up from the parking lot and goes around the north summit here. The other 3 are down, behind us where the radio tower is. There's a couple of trail loops down there. We've got, there's an agility course for mountain bikes on down here that seems like we're in constant maintenance mode on. We're we've fairly recently installed an interpretive loop down here that takes off from the parking lot. It's about almost a 1 mile trail loop that have a series of interpretive signs talking about trees and wildlife you might run into, the little bit of the history of the mound and some of the prairie areas. So that's really neat. If you ever have time, have a nice day, go check that out. It seems like the biggest project we have going up here, we're always trying to preserve the prairie. We're always trying to keep the brush out of it, basically. As you can see looking around, this park, it goes quite a ways south, and if you look at pictures of the park from around the time that the water towers went in, maybe 50 or 60 years ago, there was hardly a tree up here, and since then, the park's been used for a number of things. One of which was an ATV off-road vehicle, kind of a free-for-all, basically, and that ruined the prairie in a lot of areas, but it also allowed a lot of trees to come in and start basically taking away the prairie. So over the years I've been around, and even before that, we've been doing a lot of controlled burns and cutting brush and trees and trying to get some of this grass back. So we actually, working with Azura just last year, we removed some old concrete steps up here just kind of to the west of the old limestone steps, and just a little bit of prairie restoration there has gone a long way in that short amount of time, and we've gotten a lot of grass and some nice wildflowers back in there. So it takes time. That'll look really nice in a couple of years, but that's really our biggest challenge up here, is trying to keep the prairie, trying to get it back and look at
Did you do a burn again this fall?
Probably not this fall. It would have been good to have been able to do it in late August, probably. Dogwood trees are pretty well controlled, burning in late summer. Sericea, one of the noxious weeds we find up here, that would have been good to control it then, burning, but we'll probably do it in spring. We'll probably try to burn at least half of it in spring, and then see how the summer goes next year. But I always hate skipping a good burn day, and I always have a hard time leaving it go for later in the year, just kind of hoping that you'll have another good day. So, yeah, we shoot for every year, and we're lucky to do it every 3 years.
Control of the wild honeysuckle getting better?
Yeah, that's something that fire controls very well. And we can do a little bit of chemical control on it. This is about the most calm day wind-wise you're going to find up here. So it's a little bit scary, using herbicides when it's always windy. But fire, definitely very susceptible to fire. So that's one thing we can get rid of. Other things, I don't know too much as far as history of the mound. John talked about the water towers going in. Yeah, there you go, in Loudon. Yeah, there's a water tank over the hill that you might walk up there and you can see that. There's one right below us where we're standing. I think between them there's maybe 5 million gallons. I can't remember. And so a lot of water up here. I've been told by the city that the water tower you can see down there over by the Walmart on 470 is supposedly the exact same elevation as these tanks, just to kind of equal out water pressure, which I think is kind of interesting. So we're always asking the city permission to do anything up here because they're a little protective of their water tanks, understandably. Otherwise, we're just working along here and trying to improve it, and really thankful for all the help you've got. So I sure appreciate it.
Real quick, a year or so ago, I heard a presentation by an individual he gave a presentation on Curtis Holiday, founding speaker. He talked about how terrible it was that Cyrus had to walk from Kansas City all the way over here. I bit my tongue. Yeah. He lived in a mud hut down at what's now First in Kansas. I bit my tongue. And the place was wild with Indians, and I bit my tongue. And I went up after it and I said, my great-great-grandfather walked from Indiana all the way here. I said, we had stone homes just 20 miles west of here. I said, we had 2 schools here you didn't even mention. We had the Baptist Mission, here in Topeka, and St. Mary's in Canada. I said, we weren't wild. No.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you very much. That was awesome. Thank everyone for coming today. It's so good to see so many of you. Missed you. So anyway, let's go ahead and end our meeting with a 4-way test. After we do, if you'll indulge me, if you have the time, I'd love to take a group picture maybe on the steps, but for those that can stay. So anyway, of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And is it fun? Have a great weekend.